Hello everyone, I'm Taylor Day. It is now 5 o'clock and I'm joined by Chief Meteorologist Marcus Walter. Marcus, how are the conditions looking now?
Well, right now we are seeing a break in the activity. So still some sprinkles out there, some very limited freezing rain, but for the most part things are clearing out briefly. But there is a surge of moisture pushing in our direction, so we'll be back into the mix shortly. All right, well, let's talk about what's happening on our tower cam. You still see the icicles there hanging from the top of the camera. Our Creed and Creed camera showing you that things have cleared out a little bit. You can see a little bit better on the tower cam. And one of the things we noticed too is that there are not a lot of people traveling at this hour, and that is a really good thing. We have very slippery conditions. We have tough travel conditions all across the arc limits, and we will continue to have this as we head through Sunday and potentially with the cold sticking around into Monday and Tuesday as well. So let's take a look at a viewer photo. This photo actually comes to us from our very own meteorologist, Abby Zell, and it shows some of the trees outside of our TV station. And you'll notice these trees are covered in ice, and that ice is fairly thick. We've seen anywhere from a quarter of an inch of ice to a little bit more than that of just pure ice. And then when you factor in the sleet, we've seen sleet in excess of 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches or more of sleet across parts of our region. So this storm has overperformed, as we say in the meteorology world. It's produced a lot more precipitation than what was originally expected, and it's bringing a lot of impacts to us. Now here's a look at Interstate 20. You see the icicles on the camera as well. The roads, at this point, we still have some travelers on the roadways there, and you'll notice some clearing. We're still sitting at about 32 degrees, but as we go into the evening, once the sun sets, we'll continue to cool off, and that will have a big impact on road conditions across the arc limits. Now, I mentioned we have a little break in some of the heaviest rain. We see that mainly across the arc limits, most of the arc limits right now. At the same time, we're noticing more pink starting to move up from the south. We're tracking moisture that's moving across southern and central portions of Louisiana. It's forecast to continue moving north, and as it does so, it'll likely sweep right across our region and bring another round of wintry weather. So anywhere from now through about 6 p.m., most of the arc limits should be fine, but it looks like we'll get another wave of moisture towards 7 p.m., and then we'll be watching for a later wave as we head toward tonight. When we look at the region, we see heavy rain impacting areas farthest to the east, places in New Orleans or places like New Orleans dealing with rain showers approaching. Dallas still dealing with sleet and snow at this hour. Also snow toward places like Amarillo and Lubbock, Texas. That's on the coldest side of the system. And so we still have limited snow chances, but I think for us, we'll see more icing than anything else. And we have the chance to pick up at least another ½ inch of freezing rain. And again, that will bring issues, that will keep issues around as we head throughout the night into tomorrow. So please take this weather seriously. When we look at the snow forecast, I think for the most part, North Louisiana may see a couple of snowflakes, but it's really South Arkansas that has the best chance to pick up on snow. And we can see anywhere from a ½ inch to nearly an inch, maybe a little bit more if we have moisture still around as the coldest air begins to settle across our region. But let's talk about temperatures now, because it is cold outside, especially in places like El Dorado. They sit at 18 degrees right now. It's extremely cold for them. And these are just the air temperatures. When you factor in the wind, it feels even colder for places like El Dorado and across much of the arc limits. And you'll notice for most of us in the arc limits, we're right at freezing or just below freezing, and we will continue to cool off as we head throughout the rest of the evening. So as we talk about timing, we're still looking at another 18 hours or so of a wintry mix, another 2 to 3 days below 32-degree weather, below freezing weather. But we do start to see a subtle warm up. And when I say warm up, it won't be dramatic. We'll be in the mid 40s as we head throughout the afternoon on Wednesday, even into Thursday. And then we'll get another push of cold air as we head toward next week. So let's continue to time things out. Again, this model now picking up on moisture that may be around pretty much after 7 p.m. and continuing through the evening. At the same time, we may see a brief break again after midnight toward 1 and 2 a.m. and then more freezing rain begins to move across the region. This is a look at 5 a.m. We'll potentially be dealing with the same type of freezing rain and sleet that we saw earlier today. So that lets you know we still are under the threat of this winter weather. And then as we head toward 9 and 10 a.m. Sunday morning, we should start to dry out. We may see a couple of snowflakes. Again, still some snow chances across South Arkansas, but The worst of the weather, worst of the rain at least, and the freezing rain should be pushing off to the east. And then that colder air really does start to take shape. And one of the things we have been focusing on in terms of demonstrating how cold it could potentially be, how cold it'll likely be, is the wind chill. And the wind chill tells us how the air and the wind feel to our skin, our exposed skin. We're looking at wind chills in the single digits as we head toward 10 and 11 p.m. on Sunday. And then by Monday morning, we could start out with those wind chills near zero. And there's a high likelihood that we will see sub-zero wind chills as we head toward Tuesday morning. So this is dangerous weather, and not only to have power issues, but then to have cold air move in, it puts a lot of people at risk. So take all the necessary precautions you can to stay warm and stay safe with this weather. We have this ice storm warning that stays in place for the entire viewing area at least through Sunday. Our GFS model again showing that moisture moves through, but it does clear out as we head toward early next week. And our planner as of now, it is keeping moisture out there as we head toward 7 and 8 p.m. and even 11 p.m. We will have to monitor to see how things ultimately play out, but it does look like after our brief hour to 2 hour break from the freezing rain, more of that moisture begins to move in. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Temperatures holding steady in the mid to upper 20s overnight into Sunday. Wintry weather around for the first part of Sunday, then brutally cold for the second half of Sunday. And then air temperatures will get close to 31 degrees Monday, but with the wind, we'll have wind chills in the teens and 20s, and then we'll be brutally cold once again for Tuesday morning. You'll notice the low to mid 40s Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday and Thursday, and then mid 30s expected for Friday before we warm back up into the weekend. We know it's a lot going on. We know a lot of people are concerned. They have a lot of concerns with this weather moving through, but we will do our best to keep you updated in terms of what's happening on radar and what's forecast to come.
Thanks, Marcus.